Bitcoin has more room to fall.
Bitcoin scam.
You think that Bitcoin is in a financial crisis?
It falls apart.
Bitcoin's the mother of all bubbles and is also the biggest bubble in human history.
So the selling of Bitcoin intensified.
There's major disconnect between reality and fantasy when it comes to Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, the biggest scam ever.
There's no value, it's just pure speculation.
I think we're now at a point where projects are running out of money. They're going to need to start firing employees. They're going to need to cut costs.
That's fake news. I cannot die. I'm sure you've heard a lot of bad news in the crypto space lately with all the FUD from people like Nouriel Roubini and real-life Wolf of Wall Street Jordan Belfort. The media has been harsh. Bitcoin has been called by many names. Scam, speculative asset, Ponzi scheme. The SEC surely isn't helping. They seem to be playing this teasing game of will we approve Bitcoin or not. Some of you may be losing interest or clinging to the last bit of hope. In that case, I do not and cannot deal hopium. But let's put some perspective into this. The Wolf of Wall Street said Bitcoin has no real value. Let's take a step back. What exactly is real value? Safe to assume he meant what economists call intrinsic value. Let's analyze its definition. Intrinsic value is the perceived or calculated value of a company, including tangible and intangible factors using fundamental analysis. Let's focus on intangible factors. Bitcoin is technically an intangible asset. So what value does Bitcoin bring?
Let's take a step back from the trading of the token, because what we're really looking there is this liquid venture capital, right? And it could be worth 6,000, could be worth 20. But the idea that Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies are a software program that allows you to disintermediate parts of financial services, do you find any value in that?
Now, another important question that arises. Do we really need to remove these middlemen, these intermediaries from our finances? Are you happy with the services provided by your banks? Is it easy and cheap to send cross-border transactions? How about PayPal? All good? Low fees? If your answer to most of that is yes, then you must be living in a country with a good financial system. But please think about the majority of the world that are living in a broken one. In most places of the world, people have very limited access to traditional financial institutions. They don't make it easy for people either. It's just not practical to offer a bank account to, say, a goat farmer from Bangladesh. They don't do that. The obstacles are just too great to handle, the legal requirements too difficult to attain for the unbanked. So do they have to deal with a system of financial exclusion forever? Bitcoin can solve this problem, and it only requires two things: a device that could connect to its network and the ability to memorize 12 words. With that alone, they can participate in the global economy. Think how empowering that is. Now, this doesn't mean that developed countries are free from crisis, apparently. Traditional financial instruments designed in the 1950s, like credit cards, are not suited for e-commerce and our digital lifestyle. Many people suffer from chargeback transactions, identity theft, stolen credit cards, overcharged by merchants, and all the bureaucratic problems brought about by these financial payment processors.
So another advantage of using this new digital form of money is that you can save because the fees are lower for you, they're lower for the merchant. It's more secure, there's less opportunity for chargebacks and fraud. It's faster, you risk your identity less, and all of these things reduce the cost of doing commerce and engaging in commerce online.
Another value that Bitcoin brings is censorship resistance. The internet is getting less welcoming as more government and organizations and even self-interest groups are putting up imaginary rules and using their power or influence to impose their will on others. Recently, Patreon, a platform for creators to earn revenue from their content, removed one of its users, Sargon of Akkad, without warning.
I've been on Patreon for, 3 or 4 years now? Hi there, thank you for reaching out. This page was removed by a trust and safety team for violating our community guidelines.
As a result, there's a growing concern among creators and subscribers that Patreon and other centralized platforms are maybe applying their rules selectively as a means of political coercion. But it doesn't stop there. Payment processors like PayPal and Stripe are just as guilty. After the incident with Patreon, a number of content creators switched to an alternative platform, Subscribestar, which vowed not to violate creators' freedom. After a while, Subscribestar's growth was hindered when they announced PayPal stopped working with them. Incidents like this are happening again and again, and it will continue to do so. But believe it or not, there is an even bigger censorship problem. Recently, the EU voted in favor of a new copyright directive called Article 13. It is designed to update existing copyright laws for the internet age and also dubbed the meme ban.
Alright, first, what is Article 13? It's a part of a proposed copyright legislation in the European Union created with the intent to better protect creativity. It seeks to find effective ways for copyright holders to protect their content online. We at YouTube support Article 13's goals and its aim to help creators and artists succeed. However, the current proposal of Article 13 written by the European Parliament will create large unintended consequences. It threatens hundreds of thousands of creators, artists, and others employed in the creative economy. So why should you care? As currently written by the European Parliament, Article 13 could mean that YouTube is forced to block millions of existing and new videos in the EU. It could drastically limit the content that you can upload to YouTube in Europe. This would be especially hard for creators and artists since many types of videos could be blocked. Those include educational videos, lots of official music videos, fan music covers, and mashups, parodies, and more.
Now imagine if YouTube was built on a decentralized immutable platform like Bitcoin, assuming it works well enough. In that case, creators would laugh at Article 13 because there's nothing that it could do to take down YouTube. Now it is understandable that many investors have grown impatient with Bitcoin. It's been 10 years yet it's still not good enough as a currency. It is too volatile. The fees are expensive, especially last December. Let me put you back to perspective. Bitcoin is 10 years old. The dollar is 220 years old. Bitcoin was worth 10 cents once, and now it's fluctuating between 3 to 5,000. The dollar was once worth 25 grams of pure silver. Now it's barely worth a burger. And frankly, Bitcoin worked before. Back when there wasn't a lot of people, the whole network was fast and cheap. A global decentralized peer-to-peer currency. But that changed when it grew to too many users. It couldn't handle the load as well as before. Until now, scalability is an ongoing development because there are a lot of very talented people working in the crypto space, and it is growing fast.
There's probably more developer activity in crypto than in anything that we've seen since the internet. And I think the right way to think about it is it's a new computing platform. So once every decade or two, a new computing platform comes along. So we had the mainframes and PCs and smartphones. And the thing that's deceptive about it is when the new platform at the time is generally worse in most ways than the old platform, but has some new capabilities. So if you go back to the smartphone, like now, it's like, oh yeah, the smartphone. But then, the people who are used to the PC were like, wow, that is a really small computer. That's not too powerful with a teeny tiny screen. How am I going to put my big old spreadsheet on that little ass computer? And that was true, but the smartphone also had a camera and a GPS built in. So now you could build, you didn't have to just build a spreadsheet. You could build Instagram, you could build Lyft, you could build new kinds of things. And with crypto, it's very similar in that it's worse in most ways than the old computing platform in that it's slow, it's really complex, it's lacking a lot of features, but it has one feature that has never existed before, and that's trust.
There are more than 100 different people working on Bitcoin and Lightning Network as we speak, and that's regardless of the price. People get so caught up in the price all the time, and that's understandable. Most people come into this space because of greed, and that's okay. That's human nature to want more things for oneself. But it's more beneficial, especially if you are here long term, to recognize the fundamentals. The fundamentals are getting stronger as more progress have been made by talented people all over the world. Bitcoin's intrinsic value is the amalgamation of the platform, its users, and its development. And those things are inseparable. That's what makes Bitcoin the #1 candidate for the global currency that is to come. That is the real Lambo, the real moon. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, and if you haven't already, click that subscribe button for me. See you guys.